Cheers.
Good morning. Well, yeah, it's morning.
Grand Rising. Do you know why
Grand
I
rising.
say morning?
What's that?
Do you know why I don't say good morning anymore?
You told me, but tell me again.
Okay, well, it's because what are you mourning? So I say
Oh,
grand rising because you're rising. Like
I
literally,
get.
the vocabulary is so dense. Like if you really think about it, you're really calling into that. Like the beginning of your day, you're saying good morning, and you're like, the hell am I mourning? You know. So if you
No,
dissect
okay.
words,
I will say this. Morning, as far as by definition, like it is the beginning of the day. Morning.
yes,
Okay.
not the other way around.
I had this conversation with a couple people on the radio show because they were like Grand Rising, and I was like, oh, I was like, yeah.
It
And I
just
remember,
doesn't feel right when you say it. That's the thing. It's like grand what?
yeah. So it hasn't been normalized yet. For all of
Rise
you
and
using the
shine.
internet, if we can normalize grand rising as a greeting when the sun rises,
Yeah.
then it'll sound
Like
less.
it just feels
Yeah.
weird when you say grand rising. It's like good morning. It just feels softer, but the word in itself is like, what are you mourning?
No, yeah, I get that. I mean, that's why we have apostrophes and stuff, and we'll use things in the wrong
Different
way.
ways of
I
writing,
I
spelling it
feel
out.
like it's all about the vocabulary, or not even that, the understanding of the statement. So, actually, I don't even. I say, what do I say in the morning? I don't even think I say anything. I just do one of these.
Say
What's
like
up?
good day.
Good day.
Hey,
I like good day.
good
Th-
day.
Good day.
Good
I
day.
say good day. That's how I end conversations when people are talking and I'm like, don't want to listen to them. I say good day. They're like, good day. I'm like,
Good
no,
day.
just let's move on. Let's
Maybe
move
it's
on.
good day.
Yeah, I currently do have a bidet.
Where are your glasses? That's what's different. I'm like,
I know. No, I left them. I left them because I forgot them. Really is what it came down to. So
were you in
um
a rush to the airport?
no, not really. I just
Forgot.
forgot to bring them. I forgot to bring my sunglasses too. So
Oh,
I'm lost in my own mess of things. So I just have to make do. But I brought everything else, my
that's good.
camera.
That's good.
They did say that on the morning show too. They're like, "Where are your glasses?" I was like, "Oh, I don't have them." Um,
It's like your signature. That's why I'm like, where is it?
so that it has become my signature.
Mhm,
And also now, after like 3 episodes of the morning show,
mhm.
people started, well, guests were even calling me Panda. So it's not Hype Panda anymore. It's just Panda. And I was
Panda.
like, I get it. It's easier to say, but I don't
I
know.
used to have a Dodge Durango, black and white.
And he called it the Panda.
It was
That's
the
hilarious.
like I had a little panda in there. It
On
was
it.
a panda. It was the coolest
So
thing.
you decorated it and everything, huh?
No, I just had one little panda in there.
Okay.
I'm
That's
not one of those that has like 50 things on
okay.
the. No, I'm not doing that.
That's fair.
I like
That's
my
fair.
car clean. I like it
Okay.
organized. I'm
All right.
OCD like that.
No,
But
I mean, a clean car is always good. It makes you feel good.
they're like, "You have kids?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Wow."
It's so
That's
clean.
like, I'm like, "Yeah, I like take it to the car wash every like 3 days." I'm like
Oh, okay.
vacuuming in there.
Well, with kids, you have to,
No,
it's
I've seen it looks like a tornado. Like it is
yeah,
horrible. Like I've seen it's scary what's in the car. You're like,
the things that you'll find.
anything in there? They're
No,
like,
I
yeah,
get.
actually I can find it in the chaos. I'm like, okay, all right.
All
But
right. Well, so welcome to an episode of We're Just Human, and I am Panda.
hi Panda, and I'm Celine Sophie.
Um, so, what are we talking about today? What is the topic?
Juicy topic that came to me while I was on a hike.
Okay,
Yeah, it like
okay.
literally came through and it was how to be a girlfriend after you've been a mother and a wife.
Ooh, that's like a reverse transition. It's
Like,
it's like
what?
going back.
That's a
That
whole brand.
okay. So this is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I knew. Maybe it was
Um,
like supposed to happen that I didn't share it with you. I swear, I thought I text you.
it's okay. I think that's
I
why
was like,
you forgetting. I mean, we're just human. It is what it is. So,
touche,
touche.
touche.
Okay, so I guess with that being the subject, I'm curious as to your experience. Okay, so you've been in those positions before. Okay,
Mhm,
how has it been going from being married, being a wife, and then being a mother, and then afterwards
mhm,
going back to being a single mother,
mhm.
and that whole transition of like how do you look at the future, as far as dating or even meeting people, being a mom now, a single mom now,
Mhm.
um but also have been held those other positions, if you will. It's almost like from
I'm
job to
right.
job.
You're ranking right now.
Exactly.
No, I mean, to be honest with you, it's happened twice. So obviously, I
Okay.
was married with my oldest son's father, and then when we got divorced, I was like 30, so I was still younger,
Okay.
and I didn't think I was going to have any more kids.
Hmm.
I didn't really. I think I was still in like my party era. Like I didn't really
Okay.
think about dating. Like it was just it was gonna happen. Like it was like
Yeah.
part of my reality. Like
It was an
I'm
easy transition.
there was no like cut off, like I'm divorced, I gotta heal. There was no healing process. It was just like,
Okay.
hey, I was working for L'Oreal. I had Ethan was like 2 or 3. So it
Mhm.
was like I was just living life without really a lot of intention. I was just living it. But
Yeah.
now this time around, I wasn't married. I was engaged with my younger 2 boys, right?
Mhm.
And I was so off, like, nope, don't even look at me, don't talk to me. I don't even want you breathing in my vicinity. That's how much, like, I wouldn't say the trauma, but just I don't even want to talk to men right now.
Yeah.
So it
Okay.
was so extreme, so extreme. And
Okay.
that one is more recent, like, it's only been like a year.
Yeah.
So it's very different,
Well,
very.
I was gonna say too, I can also imagine just by, the age range, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because that's another variable too. So if you're younger, or or you're older, depending on what stage you're at, it can really define what your plan of action is moving forward. Whether it be dating, whether it be looking for another, looking for a new person to be with, long term, or just being you and just enjoying yourself, if that makes any sense. So,
Yeah, and that is what I did. I actually took time with this one and I actually went through the deep dive into self. And
yeah,
that's my whole work is empowerment, going inward, self, right?
yeah,
Like reflecting inward. But this time it was like really dealing with the trauma, the breakup, and a lot of self-reflection. So I took that
yeah,
time to really fully engage with myself, love on myself, do things for myself. It was hard. I dealt with like a lot of anxiety, which I've never dealt with before.
hmm,
But coming to where I am now, that's like a 13-year difference. So I was like
for
30,
sure.
and then now I'm 43. So it's like the difference in mentality. So
Hmm.
I have just recently been entertaining the thought of, yes, I feel like I would like to entertain the thought of being with somebody because
Yeah,
I feel like I've done enough work, not like a year matters or there's like a time frame, but I
but
feel
the idea of
I'm
growing as
ready
a
to
person.
share my growth, my process, my life, with somebody. But let me just tell you how much pickier I've become. Holy
Well,
moly. Like, is that age? Is that
I think that's
experience? I'm like,
I think
what?
it's a little bit of both. I think, let's go back to the idea of, the first relationship. I'm not even going to say marriage or whatever. The first relationship, once you got out of that, I think at that time, you said you were out kind of just doing you, living life, dating, doing whatever else it is. And I think, at
I'm just
that
having fun.
at that age range, I feel like not saying the maturity level, but it's almost like you're mentally not ready yet to be like, hey, I need to plan for the long term, right?
Oh, so no.
And that's very typical of men and women. So like if you're in your 30s, you're like, yeah, it's very uncommon to have someone in their 20s and 30s be like, I'm looking for the long term, for retirement, for like, longevity. It's almost like, hey, what can we do the here and now?
Mhm.
But once we hit that hump of, let's just say, we'll call it 35 and over,
Yeah,
it's
35. Yep.
now, whether you've been through one divorce or one breakup, five breakups, whatever it is, your mentality changes because let's just put it this way, we only live so long,
Right.
and anything can happen. But, being in, for me specifically, it was very different. I mean, I can agree with you. Your priorities change, and it doesn't
That
mean
is
that
a great word. Priorities. Yep.
your priorities change. It has nothing to do with whether you have children or not. I really think it is, and this is just my opinion, the
Just makes
idea of
you a little bit more responsible. That's all.
where you're at.
I feel like,
And
damn, I gotta pick somebody up. I have to be responsible.
exactly. No, and I think that's what it is. It really is, the we'll call it the milestone ages.
Yeah.
Um, it's very uncommon for the most part to see someone very immature at the 40, 50-year-old age because, I don't know if it's because mentally we're expected,
Yeah.
to do certain things, or because we do have children and we want to do the best for them.
Right.
Um,
You're
so
like, hey, I can't be a kid anymore. I got kids now.
yeah, you can't
So
just
literally.
do it to do it. I mean, and there's some people that do, and it's a very small percentage, and they get called out on social media a lot for being bad parents or bad people.
Yeah.
But that was their choice, and I'm not, we're not here to judge. Everyone has their own path and their own reasons for it, whether they be trauma in the past they haven't dealt with, whatever it is. That kind of, we'll call it motivation. Regardless, could be bad, could be good, but it's motivation for you to do the things that you do. But yeah, that is it. Now let's go into the meat of it all. Just the idea of like the whole dating process. Now you said you're more picky, right?
Oh my gosh.
Um, and I feel like that's everyone becomes more picky as they get older. I mean, I think that's just a natural human reaction through experience, right?
Well, I used to be picky with just, let's just say, looks per se.
Okay.
I had to
But
have a
priorities, again,
certain like
priorities
look.
change.
Now it's more like, not that the look doesn't matter because it does obviously have to be attracted to somebody, but it's
Yeah.
like it's really more how can you stimulate my mind?
Oh, for sure. There's
Like
a
we can't have a conversation, we can't get deep into things. Like it's like blah. Like I don't want to just go on dates and you just buy me stuff and we
I like
just
French fries and cheeseburgers. What about you? I don't like tacos and just get up and leave. No, yeah, no, I think, and I'm not gonna base this on intelligence, because it's not that. It's just having a conversation commonality, if you will. So whether it be sports,
yeah,
whether it be whether it be fashion, whether it be children, whether it be family life, whatever it is, being able to be communicative, I think, is important. Um,
very much.
we may think that the person we're talking to is stupid per se, but it's not that they're stupid. It's just there's a, there's just a different level of communication, and there's someone out there for that person. So I think it is compatibility, if you will. It's
Yeah,
all
and
about
I
compatibility.
didn't like going off what you're saying right now. I didn't really think about it like you just think like, oh yeah, I could just have a conversation with everybody. I mean, we're both very personable, right? So we
Yeah.
can go have a conversation with like a 90-year-old in the
Oh yeah.
grocery line or like you're at Costco or you know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter, but it really does matter. Like I can't just have a conversation with someone and be like, "Oh, it's okay. I won't really look at like not being able to have a conversation with you." Like, "Okay, let's go have
Okay.
dinner." Like
Now
I'm
let
not
me
yeah.
let me ask you this. Why do you think that is important to have someone, a partner per se, a potential partner that you can communicate with well and converse with? I mean, communication and conversing are two different things.
Yeah.
But let's focus on not even communicate, because we'll talk
Just
about conversing. Just being someone to talk to.
yeah.
Why do you think that's important?
I think that's important because first of all, we both are going to grow in our own path. We're never going to stop evolving and,
Yeah.
you know, growing into our own ventures. So if you cannot have something solid where you're have a foundation to be building off of,
Hmm.
like just common courtesy doesn't mean that we have to be on the same page. We don't have
For
to
sure.
agree. We just are able to have a conversation without either one of us feeling like you're talking down to me. You
Yep.
are telling me something that I'm doing wrong. I mean, you could say, hey, I don't like this or whatever it is, just the form of
Yeah.
communication. So I think having that is important because if you don't, you can't really expand together. Like you're just going to be constricted in the same little bubble, doing the same things that are like comfortable.
Hmm.
Stay in that bubble rather than like you guys are
Being
both
yourself.
growing and expanding. And yes,
Yeah.
yourself. I think that's the most important thing, like being yourself, so that when you have certain conversations, is you don't feel judged. Like you're just being you,
Yeah. No,
and
I
that's
think
okay.
you're right. I mean, I think as we get older, or not even older, but we'll call it older in looking at relationships. Because I
Mhm.
mean, you could be in your 30s or even in your 20s and be thinking the same way. So I'm not going to say that you have to be a certain age to think this, but because everyone experiences things in a shorter period of time or a longer period of time. I've met people that I'm just like, whoa, you're like 50. How did you not know this? And I,
Yes, yes,
I can't do that.
uh,
But you're right though. At the end of the day, the very baseline of a relationship is comfort level, right? Can you be yourself without judgment? Okay. Can you look at the other person and do the same? It really is that two-way street. We look at relationships as partnerships. There's something, to be said about, I
and
know
it's
that,
more like control shift. Like you're
no, I mean, there's a
help
balance.
the other person, but there has to be a balance, like you're saying.
Yes.
Like you can't be trying to suffocate someone and change them, and like you got to do this and mold to be here with me.
Yeah.
And like the person's like, "Hey, man, I like who
But
I was. What are you
exactly.
trying to do
I
to me?"
think if you're supporting the other
Yeah,
person to be better, and that person um that is trying to be better, that's really what it's about, support. So if I'm going to make any changes that I say that I'm going to make, I would like the other person to be there to support me, right, and vice
that's
versa.
a big topic. Like literally change. It's like you're not really changing for the person. You're
No,
changing, compromising so that the relationship could be better. Like
exactly.
I will bend a little bit to do this because I know it you like that. So I want to make sure you're happy, but not compromising to the point where you're like dreading.
Yes.
Yeah.
So compromise is always a thing. The whole idea, I think I've learned, moving forward, going from boyfriend to husband to single again, and being a father too, in the same thing, but as a man, um it changes the same way. I feel like it changes the same way as for women, granted, but I think our priorities are about the same. We're looking for someone that we're able to stand being with for like long periods of time.
That's the thing. Like try to spend some time, like even like a whole day with somebody and see if
Yeah.
you can even get through the day. Like, is there a glitch or does it just like kind of you're just smoothly going through the day? You go do
Yeah.
this, go do that, you go, it's like
I think, if you catch the right dance partner, basically is what it comes down to.
mhm,
You can feel where they're going, they can feel where you're going, when to break, when to come back together.
don't step on my toes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's going to be a lot of there will be toe stepping, but I think recognizing that you can help support that person to be a better dancer and vice versa is also part of the dance.
See, that's the thing that I like how you use that word support because
Yeah.
when you say something to someone, it's like, hey, it's coming from a place of support. Like, hey, I can
Yes.
see better
Yeah.
potential in you to do this, so it would make things easier here for
Yeah.
us. So,
No, I
but
agree.
I do want to ask you something. You brought something up.
Yes.
So this whole dating thing, maybe like get a guy's perspective on this.
Okay.
So when we go from like single to like married, now we're mothers and fathers, and then back to divorced, and then back into the dating world. Like it was easier, I guess, to be like, oh, he's my boyfriend. Like it just seems so silly right now. Like at 40 to be like, oh, I have a boyfriend. Like it's just
Yeah, it
like,
feels
oh, in
awkward,
high school. Like
because
you say, like, oh, I have a partner. Like
I mean, and I don't know what the social norm is, to be quite honest. I
that's
guess
what I'm like, what is
personally, I'm with someone. I think that
I am
is
taken.
I'm taken, or like maybe a promise ring, or like, I don't know, like a necklace of sorts, something made of macrame.
Walk down. You see my
I mean,
little
you could, you could just a marking of sorts. No, that's a great question. I think
Yeah.
I can see myself saying, I'm with someone, or, again, just to be more PC about everything, I have a partner, just so that they wonder, is it a guy? Is it a girl? Is it a
That's
cat?
what
Is
I
it a
was just
dog?
gonna say, like,
Yeah,
which way do you go?
I know. I think I would only use that in order to engage more conversation.
Okay.
Only at the very end of the conversation to be like, no, yeah, she's a woman, and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, you could have said that in the beginning. Like, well, I
I
want to have a
was trying to
conversation.
guess and see, but
Yeah,
yeah, I guess and then having that conversation, like, I don't ever remember having the conversation. You just kind of, like,
just
gradually
happened.
you would know, like, "Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
no, I'm with this person." Like, it's like an
yeah.
understanding, like, do you talk about it now? Do you be like, "Okay, like, you're mine," like, you take
I
ownership?
I think people do, and this is like a very loaded question because everyone deals with it differently. I do feel like people do have the conversation after a while. So, for example, you know, instead of because now we're looking at things not trying to base on assumption, right? Because that's like the killer of everything is assuming.
You're like, we've been together." You're like,
I'm like, I was I there for the conversation? Did I sign a contract?
where is it?
I
Show me my agreement."
I think that's the one thing that people are
Yeah.
still navigating around as far as defining it, because we can go back to make it real simple and saying, so we've been together for X amount of times, I feel we're exclusive. I think the word exclusive gets used a lot,
Yeah,
and
like we're
it kind of rolls
exclusive
into that.
means, hey, do
Yes.
not go left or right. Where we're staying focused,
Hmm.
center, straight, look
Yep.
forward.
It's definitely, people will do cute things like, are we planning our lives together, and in the sense
The way
uh,
you said that, it was
of
like, "Look,
courting.
are we?"
So for those of you kids out there that don't know, we used to call it courting, and then it became dating.
Yes, I like
So
courting better.
yeah,
Dating seems so like I'm not gonna put enough effort in. I'm just gonna do the bare minimum.
I think it just had a weird connotation because it's like
Really,
dating apps, like dating games instead of
like,
it being courting. Courting sounds very much more.
to me, dating the word seems like I'm dating like around. Like I have
Yeah, yeah.
people on hand.
Well,
There's one on deck, one then
we
I
talk
have
about
two
seeing
taking
people.
and
Like,
I'm
are you seeing people? So is that like prior to dating?
dead people.
Like, I would love to see the comments about, like, what is the difference between seeing someone and dating someone, um, because I feel like it's very loose. It's a very loose
Yeah,
definition,
so
you
that's
know?
why I think when you said, I have a partner or I'm
Yeah,
with someone or I don't know, I got a boyfriend.
exclusive.
Like it's so I don't know. I'd
I
rather
like
just be like I have a fiance. Like that's just so just get to that point.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think it's still
Like
cute to
we're
use.
already just gonna date, so might as well just be fucking engaged.
No, I
If
get
it's
that.
gonna work, then we just go left and right. Like, what's we're dating, okay, and then we got to do another 2 years of like being engaged.
Yeah,
Together,
okay,
it's like fucking a decade. You're
okay.
like, dude, we just
So we'll
like
talk acceleration. So now after being a
dating.
girlfriend, a wife,
It doesn't even.
excuse me, and then now back to being possibly a girlfriend. You just
Yeah,
forget the
it's
girlfriend part. It's like we're
weird.
we're we're hanging out together for a long period of time. Now we're gonna get engaged. Like accelerate the process.
Is that weird? Would that be weird for
No, it's
like
not.
going from like, hey, we've been talking.
So let's put it this way. I
Yeah.
feel that time has no matter in how
Mm.
solid a relationship can be. I'm a huge firm believer in that
I'm starting to
because
believe that too.
connection is connection, period.
Yes.
When you find the right, and I always go back to dance partners, when you find the right dance partner, and again, it has nothing to do with you guys dancing perfectly the first time.
Yeah.
It's about being able to find each other's rhythm together, to step on each other's feet together, to work and make things better
Feels like
together.
a metaphor. I think
That's
people would understand that.
it's probably one of the simplest forms of metaphors in anything,
Mhm.
that deals with two people. But I
Yeah.
think that's really what it comes down to. So I can see people meeting, um, granted, again, there's a lot of variables, right?
Mhm.
So for people's reasons for being in a relationship right after another relationship could be because they're accelerating the process, or it could be because maybe from past traumas they're
Filling the void.
filling a void. It's like I'm having you here because of the situation, not because it's you.
Yeah, you're like a
Um,
placeholder for sure.
yes, but for in their minds, they don't feel that way. They really
Some people actually just want someone there just to have someone there, or a few people there, like
completely.
cycling them out just
But
because they
those
want someone
those
there.
individuals don't really know they're doing that. Their intentions are good
No?
in their head, but they don't realize
Wow.
what they're doing. So, and that's what friends are for, right? Or therapists. They're gonna be like, hey, maybe the reason you're doing
Mhm.
this is not because of them; it's the situation. You like having someone around, even
The
if
accountability.
it is. But again, we get confused with our emotions. That's what drives us to do sometimes irrational things. You know, we
Mhm.
get overly excited and we just do stuff.
Instead of respond, yes,
Yes.
for sure.
And that's why the whole idea of common sense sometimes doesn't make sense because we're driven by emotions. I mean, at the end of the day, and this is probably
People
a
really
controversy.
do not have common sense. Like it's
No, I
really,
think I think it's because we've been taken by storm by a lot of different things. I think there's an information overload, and because we can't process things clearly, it's all based on emotion. I feel like everything's based on emotion now, which kind of sucks because we're
mhm.
lacking the idea of the logic. So now it's like,
You don't stop and think. You just
no,
everything is like, this is making me feel this way. This is making me
I'm
feel
just
this
gonna go. Yeah,
way. Yeah.
yeah. So I think that's kind of where we're headed. But as far as the dating after, that's interesting though. But you're right. I think it's the change in priorities.
Yeah.
It's definitely looking at things under a microscope a little more as
Mm.
opposed to being like, oh, it looks good. It's like
And
let's
then making sure who you're going to bring around is going to be good for your kids. Because
that is the other
not like
part.
you're going to introduce them right away. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. It doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong there. I'm just saying, don't keep cycling them out. Make sure you're like doing it properly.
And let me ask you this. Why do you think it's important to introduce a significant other in a more, let's say, timely manner, as opposed to, like you just mentioned, the whole cycling, just like in and out, in and out?
Yeah.
Why do you feel like that's important to have some sort of regulation on bringing a person in front of your children?
I mean, some people have like a lot of friends where they're the opposite sex. So like kids can see like, oh, mom has or dad has a bunch of people
Friends.
that come
Yep.
through and they're just friends and
Yep.
whatever. That's totally different. Kids
Yep.
don't really,
Oh,
I mean,
completely.
they attach, but they don't get connected like that because
Hmm.
kids can see like energy and aura and all
Yep.
that stuff. So when you bring someone special around, they can see your energetic field changing. They're like, who's this person? Like this is
Oh
different.
yeah.
This is not just a friend, right? So you don't want kids to get so attached and connected and then it doesn't work out, and it can happen where you wait like 6 months, introduce them, and then
Yeah.
like 3 days later it doesn't work out, whatever. But kids get attached, and then depending on the circumstances, like does the child have its original biological mother and father in his life, or is there
Yeah.
one missing? Is this person like almost like the kids are like a sponge to this person because they don't get that interaction from the opposite sex. So it's like
Hmm.
you don't want to entangle something when you're still uncertain, because
Yeah.
when you're uncertain, then it's like you bring kids into the mix, and then you have to keep hearing the kids say the person's name, and it's like, oh my gosh, it didn't work
Yeah.
out. Like, I have to like there's too
It's
many
trauma
like
for fucking everybody.
yeah, and then
Yeah, I
and
get
then
it.
it teaches kids, I think, more so like the emotional part, the abandonment wound, because like,
Yeah.
okay, this person came, they left, they came, they left, they came, they left, and you're like, well, who's staying? Like there's no
Mhm.
consistency in the child's
Yeah.
life.
That
So
that's I think that's the one thing that's very interesting about like dating with kids is having the children see some sort of consistency,
mhm.
um, because then they will either learn to grow better attachments
Yeah.
with people that
Help.
they end up being friends with or even being romantic with, or they will look at it as a normal thing to just have a revolving door of people,
Yeah.
and they won't have that commitment. They won't have that connection because like, it's just people.
Yeah.
Um,
just come and go.
It definitely can go either way, and I think, as a parent, we have to be cognizant of like how we go. I mean, that's another additive of dating after having kids or after being married, and after being married and having kids. It's like you have to consider the people around you. It's not just you anymore. It's not just you.
And I think really ultimately when I was on my hike and that came through, I think
Mhm.
what really drew me to the topic is not so much like all the things that we've been talking about, which is important. I think what drew me to the question is that how do you act like you haven't already played that role as the wife and the mother,
Okay.
and you
Okay.
revert back to like this innocent little like girlfriend. So you're just I've already fucking done this shit. I've done the laundry, the
Well,
dishes,
okay.
she's doing like we are starting all over, but yet on my daily basis, I'm doing wifey stuff
All
because
the stuff.
I
Yeah.
have kids and I'm like cooking and cleaning and do it like I not that I wouldn't be doing it if I was single. It's just
But
you're more consistent with it, right?
yeah, for sure.
And it's like and then especially if you're with someone that doesn't have kids and has never been married. I mean,
Yeah.
you're like like I don't know. I guess I have been there because Ethan's dad was married before and had a
Mhm.
child. So I had my stepson that was 3 when I met him.
Mhm.
That was officially the first, like child. So I would never. I wasn't married. I didn't have any kids, but I chose to be with someone that did.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not okay because they can do it. It's just
Yeah. Just the intent, as long as you have the mental intent
It's
going
just
into it.
we've already played that role of it, and, like, we're going back to the beginning of, like,
Okay.
girlfriend, boyfriend, versus if you're with somebody that already has kids, you're kind of already playing house.
True. True, because of circumstance.
Yeah, because
I
they have
will
kids, you have kids, so you guys are already
I will say this. I don't think that going back into the dating scene after having kids, after being married, this, that, and the other, I don't think it's a I don't think we're reverting. I think it's a whole new avenue. So
okay.
with that being said, we can't look back and say, "Well, I've already done this before," because you actually haven't. Think
I
about it.
did. I've been
Think
there
about it.
twice now. No, I'm just
You haven't though. Well, I mean, technically you
with
have. I
other
mean,
people. Yeah, it's not
yeah,
with
but
that
if
person.
you think about it, getting back into the dating scene is still different than it was before.
Oh, yeah.
Period. So we have to kind of mentally make sure that we remind ourselves that this isn't the same. So I can't complain and bitch about the same stuff because my priorities are different now.
Mhm.
My outlook on the future is different now, and the people that I choose to bring into my life are very different now.
Yes,
So it
that
is
is
very different. It is not the same.
yes.
Killian, it is not the fucking same. So
That's true because I'm like at a whole different
you're at a whole different level now.
vibration, energy,
Yeah.
level, lifestyle
Oh, for
compared to
sure.
when I was with those certain individuals. I was,
Exactly.
I think, still half asleep, like just kind of going through the motion of life.
Yeah.
And now you're like more aware and you're like, I intentionally want to be doing things instead of being on
Yes.
autopilot. So, yes, I agree with you because there's totally different people in your life.
Yeah, the your variables
Mhm.
and just your
Yeah.
life, your lifestyle again are all different. And at the end of the day, we're evolving. I mean, you can't stop evolving. Oh, there it is. The timer is up. Uh, the
So,
last thing I was gonna say is we don't stop evolving. All right. You
never.
know, we're
Well,
just
you
human.
shouldn't. That's the key.
No,
It's
it's not
never.
even that you shouldn't. It's impossible to not keep evolving. You know why? Because you're alive. When you stop evolving is when
Investigate.
you're dead, or what they call it now on the onlines, unalive. When you're not
Yeah,
unalive, then your progression stops because that just logically makes sense.
yeah.
But as human beings, we're always evolving day
Mhm.
by day, whether you realize it or not. You are. It's just us stopping and recognizing it is the growth mentally for ourselves.
And to be in the state of rest is just as important
Oh
as
yeah,
going and you
your
know,
mind's still working.
yeah.
Your mind is still working.
But
So, but awesome. Wow, that was really
yeah,
interesting. I'm not gonna lie, it was very interesting. I think
it just kind of opens up your mind to like, hmm. Like we talk about it so easily, and I'll leave you with this is like we talk about it so easily of like I want to date, I'm ready, I want to be with someone. Like I think we are looking more for that feeling of like just
Mhm.
holding, embracing, wanting to be desired, needed, like having someone to call, like
Yep.
all the fun things. But yeah, there's layers to come into it, and
Oh,
I think we
completely.
can go deeper into this because it's like I've never done online dating, so like I just have it
Ooh.
organically happen, right? So like not going into like the apps is just how it
This
now
is
flows.
perfect to segue this conversation into the next episode when we talk about dating nowadays, because
Yeah,
it's a whole different animal and
yeah.
it's scary, and it's annoying. I'm just gonna complain the entire episode pretty much
Lots
every
of
single day.
rules. Lots of rules for
Yeah,
sure.
fuck those rules. But anyway,
We're just human.
we are just human. But on that note, I'm excited to talk about the whole idea of dating, and I'm glad that you sprung me with this topic today because I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah,
I'm
and I
glad you
wonder
didn't tell me
what's gonna
before.
come up for you because you know once you get those wheels going, you're like, oh,
No, I like going in.
connect the dots.
Yeah, I like going in not knowing because then it's a surprise and you keep me on my toes. So I think this is good. This is good.
Yay! That's a good thing. Yay!
All right, until next time though.
Yes.
All right. We'll see
Talk.
you soon.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.